I guess we can move on here to our next delegation, which is Athabasca University. Welcome. Great to see you. And I don't know if we need to go around and introduce ourselves, or do you know everybody around here? I think if that's okay, or I think everybody knows Dr. Clark. So on that note, I guess thank you for coming in and with some information in that and having a discussion with us.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. Happy Tuesday to you. As mentioned, my name is Alex Clark. I'm president of Athabasca University. My colleague, Provost Catherine Swinglehurst, perhaps is imminent. She's just been delayed just to a meeting at the university, which often happens. But I'll continue with our engagement, and we can wait for the provost if she is able to release herself from the said meeting. Appreciate your time here this morning. I think this time of year, summer is here. For how long, I'm less sure. But it is a good time to reflect and to do so with gratitude, and also to reflect on transitions. And since I was last here about a year ago, my colleague, Catherine Swinglehurst, has transitioned to being provost at the university, which is the chief academic operating officer, overseeing line management of our deans and line management of our faculties, as well as being the key executive who has that executive accountability for our academic vision and mission, which as a university is the most important thing. That's what we're all working at the university towards. So it's been a really exciting transition to have Catherine in post since April, along with a new chief finance officer, Stuart Johnson as well. A really exciting chapter with an executive that I'm grateful for and continues to work to transition the university. Some of these transitions you may or may not be aware of. Obviously, you've been aware of the transition of convocation back to Athabasca, and I'm pleased to share that this convocation this past June, it was our biggest ever. You never quite know what you're going to get for convocation because you don't really know who's going to turn up. You know the graduates who are going to turn up, but you don't know who they're going to bring with them. And this was our biggest convocation ever because we had a dramatic increase in the number of guests our graduates were bringing. 50% more guests than last year, which we wouldn't have envisaged happening. But with amazing work from our colleagues in the university, but also from the multiplex. This was a really, really good event. And looking forward to continue that transition this year for convocation. Continue to also increase the economic impact of convocation, recognizing that graduates and guests want to celebrate, and we need to give them opportunities to do that and spend money. Transitioning as well inside the university, we've just transitioned over the last months 900 courses. And you don't realize 900 is a big number until you have to transition 900 courses to our new learning management system, which is a really great value proposition for our learners under our new strategic plan. Single system, so it's a lot easier to provide better support when you have a single system. And that's a mammoth job, but really exciting as we think about the future of the university and we think about how we are going to continue to support our students who are different students than others, but in that way that reflects their status of being like no other, but giving them support like no other as well. In terms of the value proposition of that, our enrollments for the first time in a number of years, both graduate and undergraduate, are increasing again. And for me as a president, that's a really, really welcome transition. This is occurring in a world that the only certainty is uncertainty. And also in a sector in post-secondary where there's been about 10,000 jobs lost in post-secondary over the country, mainly due to international enrollment caps. But AU is faring really well in this environment. And as I say, it's really good to transition to those graduate and undergraduate enrollments growing again. We never rest on our laurels, and I've been at AU now for 4 years. roughly 2 as dean and 2 and a bit as president. And when I first came in as president, I prioritized some internal transitions in IT, in the office of the president, and also in governance. And just even this past week, we've continued transitioning 3 key portfolios: provost portfolio, provost office, finance, and university relations as well. So we have the right functions in the right areas. And over the years, things get moved or forgotten about. So it's been really, really good to transition back to the right functions being in the right areas. And these, I think, are the right changes for the university. Thinking less internal to our walls, but also our engagement with the community. It's been really, really good to transition the role and contribution of the university to Athabasca. And while we've met our requirements in terms of IMAs, and jobs, and the senior leadership team presence, we want to keep rejuvenating, and we want to keep transitioning to that broader community contribution, thinking bigger and bigger picture. So, for example, this last year, we reintroduced and rejuvenated our golf tournament. We reintroduced our learning conference in October, our staff recognition event also in fall, and last year our Canada Day celebrations, and just these past weeks reintroducing our Athabasca Summer Employment Student Program to give young adults opportunities what it's like to work in the university and gain experience of life and work, but perhaps still consider us as their employer of choice in future. On campus, many of these activities are focused, and it's been really, really good to rejuvenate and continue that journey of transition on campus. If you had the opportunity to look at our makerspace during convocation, really great new facility that will also be available to the community. Our new labs, newly renovated elements in the library, with also new community access. Dare I say it, for the first time in 40 years, an entire suite of new toilets in the building. As those of you who may attend the forum in October on campus during the election, also rejuvenating governing chambers. We're now spending on average, and it is increasing, over $1 million a year on rejuvenating our campus. Looking forward to continuing that transition. So when you add all these transitions together, what do they make? They make more learners, changing more lives. They make more community engagement, but they also contribute to transitioning our reputation provincially and beyond. Where questions when I went to Stampede first time as president 2 years ago were about asking, are we still alive? How are things going? And some focus on woes and Frosty. I'm pleased to say that last year, and most particularly this year, I've seen the fruits of these transitions in terms of how we are seen in the province, from the highest office down and across, where we are now getting pitched opportunities to contribute from the highest offices down and across. It's important that we continue to transition together. It's important that we continue to focus on the future together and keep this momentum going with that spirit of togetherness. And with that end in mind, I'd be keen to share with you some perspectives as we move forward in terms of some of the discussions we've had about broader economic development and contribution. In terms of our work and your potential contribution or an advocacy as we continue to lobby and position for investment in the university, investment in our commitment, as you've seen, and it's expressed in many, many different ways, to place in Athabasca, also harnessing with that commitment our greatest strengths. We have the biggest nurse practitioner program, not only in the province, but also in Canada. We are bigger than all the others combined, and they are the future of healthcare across the country, as well as in the province, and in particular for rural and the north. And we need your support. as we position with the government to hear that investment in nurse practitioners is important for the county. The investment in Athabasca University has yielded contributions and transitions that seem to have been made, and to position well so that it's not just the university who's trying to press the case to government, but it is the community and their representatives. You have a unique potential and power here to bring hearts and minds to support the important conversations we're having, and would really appreciate if you could express that in some form of tangible support, a letter or further lobbying and advocacy. That would be very, very much appreciated. So that's where we are. That's where we're going. And just appreciate continuing to travel this journey together. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for this huge information, as far as I can see from, and to be able to put it out to the public through a recording and everything like that. If people want to watch this later on, we got the paper here to be able to move this forward in your words, which is amazing. And I want to thank you very much for coming in regarding that lobbying. You betcha. We've you know, if we meet up with a minister or something like that, or if we can, we'll on. I think I can speak on behalf of council that we would be. That would be a perfect opportunity to be able to do that. And yeah, letter if you need letters of support, there's probably no problem there with giving you guys that. I noticed, or I remember 4 years ago, sitting here talking about the university as council and coming up and we had presentations coming in and lobbying and trying to get Mr. Renshaw was in here as a person to advocate for the university and that, and it's moved so much forward. It's such a great thing to see that banding together as a region, we've helped do that with you guys too also. So thank you very much. I guess anybody else? Reeve Holland.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Going back to your words, and which I hear a lot of, and I can contest to, it is a university like no other. It's amazing. This past summer really was incredible when I was given the privilege to attend convocation. Unbelievable, world class. You know, we walked into the field house and we wondered where were we just transported to? Is this really Athabasca? It was absolutely incredible, amazing. The smiles and it was just unbelievable to be experienced. The energy was incredible. The people were incredible, and just to see the joy and the smiles and how everyone was so welcomed and they just felt as part of the community. It was incredible. So thank you. The work that you are doing and your team are doing, the mammoth job that you have, is definitely, we're seeing those improvements. We're seeing everyone is talking about the university. And as you mentioned, we hear about it as well when we chat with MLAs, when we chat with ministers. You are very correct. You're on the map and you're doing an excellent job. And thank you so much for all the work that's being put into it and the efforts that are being put into it and what you're concentrating on and what you're focusing on, and it being community and together is what we really love to hear. And you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you. I can't say enough.
I really appreciate it, Tracy. It does take not only teamwork within the university, but also work with community members. We have, let's think, 1,400 volunteer hours are contributed to convocation every year. And we've never had more community volunteers from various groups, from the rugby club to the Rotary Society. It truly is a community work and teamwork together. It doesn't turn on a dime. The world of post-secondary, I mean, the world generally is challenging just now. The only certainty is uncertainty in the world of post-secondary. It's challenged across the country, but where communities could work with the university, that positions us so well to make our contribution. Things don't turn on a dime. And I've always been about getting the foundations in place, fixing the roof, and also trying to reach for the sky. and the challenges doing all three at once. But when we work with community and we work with our colleagues and teams, we can do that. Also working with the new minister. So we have a new minister in advanced education. His name is Miles McDougall. My colleague who's going to come in momentarily to the session will describe. We had some really good couple of meetings with Minister McDougall. He was really open to hearing about the commitment from the community to the university. And one of the great challenges is when, on the one hand, things are going well and we've transitioned from some challenging times to much better times in terms of contribution, we have to show value to government and show the extra level of achievement we can contribute to rural and the north when we work with the province. There could be some scenarios where they're quite happy to leave us alone because things are okay. But actually, those efforts to contribute, particularly for the healthcare challenges in terms of rural and the north, with the provincial government, because just like what we can achieve with the community is so much more and better, when we then work with the provincial government, that I think can take us to new levels together, leveraging our strengths in the nurse practitioner space, but really continue transition and show this commitment to community, whether that's a residency program here for a nationally renowned program. The devil's in the detail, but we want to work together, and the minister has a unique opportunity. I think also a unique position in there. So any efforts you can make to contribute to lobbying for us, whether you get a chance to talk to the minister or others within the health system around the value of nurse practitioners and the unique place that AU has in educating nurse practitioners for the north, and also the contributions we can make to rural economic development here by really leveraging those strengths to bring that to the local population, and to bring that to the local populace is really important. I see Catherine has joined me here. Drawing breath, Catherine. I don't know if you've got anything to add from our discussions with Minister McDougall, or anything else specifically as we think about how county can help us relative to our work in terms of provincial government commitment and investment.
Thanks so much, Alex, and apologies to the committee for being late. University governance meeting went over time, which is a good thing. However, it's had me come in kind of last minute here. We're at a really exciting point, I think, in terms of Athabasca University's history and in terms of AU's position here in the community. Alex has talked to you about in terms of the provincial ask, and really thinking about, you know, an ask for AU is really about an ask for the region, and really thinking about how we leverage the good things happening at AU for economic growth and development here in the region, but also thinking about the region as not only a gathering place, but a catalyst, I think, for economic development in rural and northern Alberta. And I think Alex talked about the nurse practitioner program. I've just come out of an academics governance meeting where we've got some exciting new programs that really do have emphasis on the north, on rural, and really building capacity, I think, for our rural communities, and really thinking about Athabasca as the center of that, not only the university, but Athabasca, the region, and how we work together to really think about economic development, not only here in the region, but across rural Alberta and rural Canada.
Awesome, and welcome.
Thank you.
Totally understand with meetings how it goes. So yeah, this takes me back to Northern Lakes College convocation, and sitting down there, and I was lucky enough to go there and represent Athabasca County, and Mayor Belay was there also, and at the same time the Deputy Minister of Advanced Education was there. So we actually had a chance to have a sit down with him real quick, but he did tell us that he knows quite a bit about the university, Athabasca University. So like I said, every time we do get a chance, we will advocate for you, and as much as we can. So thank you. On that note, anybody else have any? Councillor Gerlach.
Yeah, just a quick question. You did mention enrollment caps. Is that enrollment caps on foreign students or specifically? And is that detrimental to the university or is it?
Yeah, great question. So I'll talk about enrollment caps and also talk about some of the province's work around finances at the moment. So the federal government, and Catherine will correct me if I'm correct here, have introduced a 5% cap on the Canadian population in terms of immigration numbers, most of which impacts on students who come to Canada from other countries. And Canada has a tremendous brand for education. People come from Canada from all over the world to get a first-class university education, and most of them stay here. These are highly qualified people. I fall into the immigrant category myself because you have an amazing quality of life. With probably very little warning, the federal government introduced a cap on immigration numbers that then directly impacted on not only immigration numbers generally, but also on universities and colleges in terms of that flow of students and their ability to get the adequate visas in place to study over here. That impacts AU less because we take a very, very careful approach to our enrollment. Some institutions, particularly colleges in Ontario, most notably, they kind of bet the mortgage, if you like, on international students. And that was very lucrative for a period. But similar to what happened in Australia 10 years ago, that supply and also that revenue can stop very quickly. That creates real challenges. Because we've had a focus on Canadian students and also students within the province, not international students, AU is well placed to navigate these challenges. One potential mediating factor for our overall fiscal well-being, at the moment, the province is undertaking a financial review of the post-secondary system. It's called the Mintz Panel Review. If there is a known unknown we're navigating just now, it's what the findings of that panel will be. I would always want a post-secondary education to be seen as an investment, because for any individual, it's probably the best money you can spend for your overall, not only earning capacity, but life quality and actually life expectancy. Higher education really does position you well. But what the findings of that Mintz panel will be are uncertain. Other big universities like the U15, U of A, University of Calgary, they may have capacity to navigate whatever that panel brings back. We are a university like no other. We're situated the only rural-based university in the province. We would hope that our unique nature is accommodated and addressed in that panel findings, and that the overall fiscal stability and our ability to make our highest contribution remains solid, despite or perhaps because of those panels' recommendations, which are due to come at the end of summer. So we'll see. We remain cautiously optimistic because I think when we presented to that panel, they understood our unique nature, they understood our unique place, and hopefully they got a sense of our unique value, not only to students, but also to the community in the county here in Athabasca.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that just such a short time ago, it was almost all lost. And the change in direction has really been a real positive thing for the community. And it's just inspiring to see it continue in that direction.
Yes, I like the way you look at that. It has changed immensely, so. Where you going?
There we go. And I appreciate what you had just said there, because as mentioned, the leaps and bounds that we have seen in the transitions that you have been making are incredible. And it is very much commendable to all of you for your forethought and your future forward thinking and your compassion and your community mindedness. I mean, it is huge and it is well seen, and it's very much appreciated as well. You have a very bright future. And we're glad you're here in this region to make it all happen. Well done.
Okay, any other, seeing no other questions or remarks or anything, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just to close, I really appreciate any advocacy efforts you can do, and if there's a letter you could write to the minister, that would be much appreciated. We're at quite a sensitive stage now where your advocacy efforts will be really important. So very much appreciate that. And on the other hand, it's an honor to do the jobs, something that I can speak for myself that I do. It's an honor to work with the kind of colleagues, and we've attracted amazing talent to the university. We want to continue that. Jobs are important. Jobs at every level are important. We want to continue that. My door is always open. So, sometimes it's about joining the dots that are going on. We want to join the dots more between convocation and retailers in the downtown area so that we can get more of the guests and the grads to spend money and stay. We want to increase the ability to host more people more often for longer periods. So my door is always open. I know I speak for Catherine as well, who's member of the Chamber of Commerce, but we're out and about in Athabasca all the time. If you have ideas about ways that the university can continue to transition the conversation and to continue to contribute in new and different ways, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here and we're keen to be part of economic development. We're keen to be part of this continuing growth story of commitment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I guess on that note, we may as well break for lunch till 12:30. Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, there we are. Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting and I think we're still in counselor updates. May as well go to Reeve Holland.
Thank you. Busy summer, lots going on with the community engagements and whatnot. I'll just run through kind of chronologically how things went down from our last meeting, I think was June, the committee of the whole. So we had the Carleton Bridge ribbon cutting, still receiving great amount of feedback on that bridge and how impressed people are with it and the job that was done. There, I was able to give greetings at the Buffalo Lake Métis Settlement Indigenous Peoples Day, and that was an amazing event as well and a lot of fun to attend, and I really appreciated that. I also attended the Athabasca Native Friendship Center Indigenous Peoples Day event at the Riverfront. It was well attended and always a great venue there at the Riverfront. People really enjoyed. I've been attending biweekly meetings with regards to the Athabasca Landing Trail, the section between Minnook and Perryvale for the active transportation grant work. So more information will come from that at our council meeting. I attended a virtual conversation with the Primary Care Alberta's leadership team. A lot of information there, as well as we're all hearing about all of the changes and transitions from AHS. Community engagements was the Athabasca Landing Trail Planning and Design Open House in Minnook. Also well attended, a lot of people coming down from the area who are trail users that are getting the information and giving their input as well. There was also the open house for the housing assessment that we're doing as a region at the multiplex. And I understand that was well attended. I came in a little bit late because the two open houses were at the same day. Gave greetings as well for the Indigenous Peoples Day event that was the first time held at the Athabasca Healthcare Center on the grounds there. Another great event, well attended and enjoyed by all, and delicious lunch, etc. That took place. Of course, it's trail season, so I participated in the Peace River Trail cleanup event. Another trail that just blew my mind with the amount of work that has gone over done over the years. Beautiful, beautiful trail. And I can't thank the Athabasca Recreational Trails Association members there for all of the work and the volunteerism that they have done for decades and decades. And it's just amazing. If you get a chance, you got to go out and see it for sure. Gave remarks at the Magnificent River Rats Festival, raising of the flag for Canada Day. And again, we all know how well the Magnificent River Rats Festival is done and enjoyed by so many. Finished up with the ALT that Councillor Chamzik touched on the cleanup. We were rained out on the original day, and so we had some cleanup. We had to carry on and wait for another day, and so that was awesome. And thanks again for all the help and the volunteerism that we're seeing there. It's really coming together. Gave greetings at the Fly-In Barbecue. That barbecue is always well attended. People enjoy it from far and wide, and it was well done. I think it was one of our better ones that we've seen, not only from attendance, but with all of the different vendors and the different things that were happening, the tables and the food trucks, and it was well done. You know, the county needs to really pat themselves on the back for the organization and that happened there. Also went to the RTOC tour, the Real-Time Operations Center at the K Division. Man, oh man, I was blown away. That is one heck of a facility, and the technology that they have behind them, that they're doing to support the RCMP across Alberta, and to keep our communities safer. It was just the coolest thing ever. If councillors get an opportunity to go, please do it. You will not disappoint being there. We also were lucky enough to have a talk from the ERT group, the fellows behind the scenes and that do some pretty amazing work out there. I couldn't believe the equipment that they have and the training that they have and the abilities that they have. It's just an amazing thing, and really thank Sergeant Hall, Staff Sergeant Hall, for giving us that opportunity. It was well worth being able to see, and now when we hear about what's happening out there, it's really neat to be able to vision that. We also had a few stakeholder meetings, meeting with ALPAC representative. We will be meeting with the executive, Deputy Reeve Minns and I, and having a tour of the ALPAC facility in September. Really looking forward to that. We also had the Trans-Canada Trail representative we have in our area, and Athabasca Recreation Trails Association through the ALTSC, we did a road tour through, we have about 60 kilometers of trail in our county. So she was thrilled to be able to see it all and see all of the different entrances and where the trail goes, and of course, make sure that signage is in place and all of those fun things. Also attended the Wildberry Festival. That was amazing. Love to see that. It was just like going up White Ave almost when you're having all the different street vendors and that kind of thing. It was really cool as well to attend. And of course, the RCMP musical ride event. Well done to the Athabasca Ag Society. That was huge. Well attended. People loved it. Also did the visit with the National Junior Hockey League team that is scheduled to be working out of and playing out of the multiplex. They were a great bunch to chat with. Looking forward to those games, and looking forward to seeing what all is coming out of the hockey league. And I think I'll leave it at that because probably take enough of your time. But thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Wallach?
Attended the Alberta Hub meeting back in June, and they are facing some budget cuts as a whole for RETAs from the Alberta government. So funding changes will be happening per capita for each municipality that's involved. I was also elected onto the board of directors for Alberta Hub, so now we have a voting voice at the table for Athabasca County, and that's about it.
Awesome. Councillor Cromwell?
Thank you very much. Aside from various meetings and committees, though, some of the things I want to highlight, speaking with ratepayers, a lot of engagement, a lot of kudos to Public Works for a lot of the work they're doing right now, getting
Councillor Cromwell, you're muted.
all right. Let's start that from the beginning. Aside from the various meetings and boards, the things I want to highlight on is many communication with ratepayers. First off, a big kudos to our infrastructure department, Public Works, for a lot of the road repair, culverts and things they've been working on, especially the Yellow Bridge Road between the connector and the K Road. As the school bus prepares for the new year, they're very excited to have that road worked on. Communication from ratepayers that are watching what we're doing, and a lot of comments from people saying we're finally getting, things going the right direction. We're making some of the headway that they've been waiting for and longing for us to do. So a good kudos to our group for that. And then the one thing I do want to highlight, I did put in an RFD for an upcoming council meeting. But the ever so present issue with dirt bikes and OHVs on the back roads, especially around the Wandering River area, as you know, which is inundated with campgrounds, both approved and non-approved, and a large amount of recreational land. I know that, even me being out with the family, out fishing, the number of dirt bikes, especially that are passing by, ripping at very, very high speeds, ripping up a lot of our roads, is getting pretty frustrated by ratepayers. I've been sent videos from ratepayers who are, standing out there asking people to slow down and not rip up their road, and the vulgar and horrible replies that they're getting is really disheartening to see. And I know we need to find some way to solve that problem before it becomes a larger problem again. Hopefully, more patrols from our CPOs on our back roads, our evenings, weekends, all during the day on the weekends when we need them out there. But will definitely be a topic I'm looking forward to discussing here as we look at ways to make sure our roads are safe and both our residents and visitors are taken care of, being able to enjoy our area and work in harmony. That'll be about it.
Okay, thank you. You betcha. And I guess on my end, yeah, the ROTC, RTOC, that's the second time I went actually, and I would honestly go a third or fourth time. It's a great, great way to find out information. What they do there is amazing, and to actually be able to, like the Reeve said, put the thought into it when actually stuff is happening out there is amazing. BRT, that was special. And then had a few meetings, ended up doing lots of camping. Actually, had an Alice meeting and a oh geez, I can't remember that meeting's coming out of the yin yang, but it's all great. One place I went actually was amazing, and thankfully I went to it finally as a family. We went to Hayen in the 30s over in Malag, and that is, if anybody ever gets a chance to go to that, it is something to see, and the organizing of it is unbelievable. Actually seen a few counselors from other municipalities there, recognized them and talked to them a little bit. It was good. And yeah, it was a great family event if you ever get a chance. So yeah, other than that, just doing county stuff. Okay, so I think that's so we'll move on to 6.1. Or 6, business arising from minutes, 6.1 EFT security implementation, page 73 of your agenda. And I guess I'm going to look at administration to have a discussion on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. First of all, I want to apologize for the delay in getting this back to you. I know it's been on the books for quite some time. We have been doing some research and continually communicating with our financial institution, ATB, and getting information. They actually provided me with a 165-page I guess, implementation guidebook, which I didn't attach because I didn't think you wanted to see a 165-page, but it's really right down to the nitty-gritty of all the steps you need to do. Also did more research and checked with other municipalities and what they're doing. And one thing I didn't include in the report is I just learned this morning through ATB is there actually is a charge for every EFT transaction. It's $2.50 per transaction. And I guess you can weigh it against the processing, the printing, the signing, the postage for all checks. So our goal here is to reduce the number of checks that are printed and reduce the risk of check fraud and checks being lost and reprinting of checks and rushing checks. So the whole concept behind EFT is to help streamline our processes. I know we originally talked to you about some of the risks that come along with it, but in doing our research, talking to ATB through many discussions and also talking to other municipalities, we do believe that this process outweighs the risks of just the print checks, because print checks are tending to be a problem, and we've seen some ourselves. So if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Okay, thank you for that, Reeve Holland.
Thank you. I'm really excited to see this. I think this is a wonderful way to go. I realize, as you mentioned this morning, there is a charge, but I think it's probably way less than the manual way. Any type of thing that we can automate, I think just gives us that leg up. So I really appreciate all the efforts and the work that's going into this, and look forward to seeing it roll out. Just curious, it mentioned under the financial that there's possibly vendors, it's being asked vendors who wish to utilize EFT. Is it in the future, as the program is put into place going to be something that would be phased out and it would be a mandatory situation, or is that even possible?
That's a tough question. I think I think municipalities continue to print checks. And maybe, perhaps, maybe once the new technology as well, the AI technology that's being proposed in the future, once we know it's 100% secure, then you could do that. I'm not aware of anybody that's doing it solely just by EFT.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Chazak?
Do you need, put through the recommended motion?
Yeah, we can. Sure, recommend. So any other discussion? If this is implemented, we'll be able to still write checks and stuff like that, even though, right? 'Cause
Yes.
there are probably still some people out there that would like to have a check in their hand instead of seeing it in the bank, but
Yes, we'll start off with staff expenses and council expenses. We'll start off with that, and then we'll start introducing the out to all of our customers,
Oh.
our vendors who wish to be paid by EFT.
perfect.
And also want to add that if a Canada Post strike does actually happen, this could save our bacon as well.
Yeah, you betcha. Exactly. Okay, any other questions regarding it? Okay. Counselor Chamzik recommendation to move to receive the discussion report with EFT security and implementation as information. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. That would be 7-0. Counselor Gerlach.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I don't mean to look disrespectful to council, but I gotta have my leg elevated, so I'm slouching my chair, look like I'm not.
Okay. Thank you. You betcha, not a problem. Okay, so moving on to 6.2 traffic bylaw, page 75 of your agenda. And Manager Travis Shalapai has brought forward this bylaw, and I guess we'll start off with yourself. Welcome. And start with yourself with some discussion on it, I guess.
Thank you, Councillor Mins. I appreciate the opportunity to bring this forward today. A little bit of history, a long history on this has been one of our action items since early 2024. It initially came to Protective Services under the guise of addressing road bans and having the CAO the ability to do that without going through council when required in the spring. From there, I've worked with a couple different infrastructure directors now, and we started cleaning up the old bylaw. And I'll be honest, one thing led to another, and it resulted in a full modernization of the bylaw. So it was a bylaw that had been updated several times, and when you start resealing the highway enough times, it requires a full redo. So we worked with our policy and governance specialist here, Mrs. McConnell, legal at infrastructure, and we went through and did a full modernization of the bylaw. Now, I won't go through line by line on the fire bylaw, or not the fire bylaw, but the traffic bylaw, but there's a couple key changes. So obviously the direction of council was to look at the road ban piece, which we have. As we were going through, we all looked at other best practices in terms of management of certain things like signage. Currently, it required council's resolution for us to put up a stop or yield sign, which at times could lead to us facing some challenges, especially if it's a public safety hazard. Getting it before council to get that direction could cause delays. So we've moved to delegate a lot of that direction down to the CAO position, which is in line with municipalities all around us. So we've moved on the signage piece, speed limits and road bans. That authority has been delegated down to the CAO. The other section, which addresses something that Protective Services has dealt with since I've started, is 5.11, livestock. So we don't have the Stray Animal Act in the county of Athabasca, which means we can't deal with any sort of livestock on the roadway. We have to refer people to the brand inspector. That's a process, and we have a lot of ratepayers that are quite unhappy with our inability to actually do anything about this. So what we've done is we've put provision in the traffic bylaw to allow us to address the specific issue that we see, which is the unattended livestock on a roadway. Now it allows us to continue the education piece, but then if we do have prolific offenders, actually start to do a little bit of enforcement to encourage that that the hazard be removed from the roadway. So in a nutshell, that's the big overarching change, was the administration piece moving to the CAO and us starting to speak to a little bit of livestock. Otherwise, there was some terminology, additional definitions, just overall policy or bylaw clarity. We have identified already that we have a numbering error in the bylaw. So if you do make a motion to move it to first reading, we will be amending. It is 5.15. We have a repeat. So unfortunately, when we use track changes, sometimes things get missed when you start accepting all the changes. And 11, so 5.15 and 11.4 both require numbering changes should this go forward.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I was the one person I know of that asked about the livestock thing, and thank you for bringing, and you said you were gonna bring that forward, and perfect. I noticed that in the bylaw and I went, okay, that is gonna be a benefit in a few people's areas. So thank you very much. And it just makes it more efficient, right? For the CAO or their designate to be able to put on road bounds and stuff like that. That's just a lot better. So I guess we got any discussion on the bylaw? Councillor Wallach?
So does 7.2, the golf cart bylaw, is that gonna affect this traffic bylaw? This, if we do anything changes with that? Sorry, sorry, 7.2 of our agenda. There's
Oh.
the golf cart bylaw request. Is that gonna change this traffic request if we do something?
Through the chair to Councillor Wallach, we would have to pass a separate bylaw to deal with that matter as it is a pilot right now. We wouldn't fully amend it into the traffic bylaw unless that becomes a permanent thing within the province, but we'd probably have a, similar to OHVs, a separate bylaw for golf carts if we proceed forward.
It's just my second question for the livestock one. Do we have the capacity as a county to do that, to manage the wildlife livestock?
Through the chair to Councillor Wallach. So for having this offense in here just gives us the tool to work with the landowner to basically educate. If they don't want to deal with it, then it's going to be ticketing provisions to have them keep livestock off of the roadways. If we were to pursue the Stray Animal Act, which is what would give us the actual ability to impound and do different things if livestock was at large, then we would require facilities to house livestock. So most municipalities avoid the Stray Animal Act purely because it is something where now you need to tend for livestock. You need to be able to isolate it from herds. You can't just put it in a pasture with a bunch of other cattle. You got to make sure it's quarantined and fed, watered, supervised. So for us to go after the Stray Animal Act, we don't have the capacity. For us to put one tool in a traffic bylaw that can address that specific issue, we have capacity for that.
Okay, Rafe Holland.
Thank you really much. This is great. I was so thrilled to see, as you mentioned, it come out of the old one and just start and bring it right into 2025. The work that's got into this is huge and is much appreciated. I'm more than happy to put forward the recommendation that this bylaw be forwarded to council for first reading as presented. I would actually go as far as second and third. It's well done. Great job.
Okay, so any other discussion regarding that? So we got a motion on the floor to the traffic bylaws 020-2025 be forwarded to council for first reading as presented. Do you want amendment for second and third reading, or
Well, I think that there's a few changes that you'll be bringing forward, so we could
Okay,
add that
so
in
go
here
for it.
as discussed, with changes as discussed. And then bring forward, I don't know if we can add the second and third, but if we can get through it all in that one day, that would be amazing.
What if we were just to put it for the first reading, and then if administration feels,
We vote on,
yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah.
We don't have to put it on the agenda.
yeah. Yeah, so, okay. Is that okay? Okay. So the traffic bylaw 020-2025 be forwarded to council for first reading as amended and presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, 7-0. So. Draft policy fire response cost recovery, page 91. So we got a recommendation here, but again, Mr. Manager Travis Shalapai to have a discussion regarding the fire response cost recovery policy.
Well, thank you, Chair. So this one's gonna be relatively simple. So back in May, we had a couple sessions where we worked on potential cost recovery policies to provide administration guidance and ensuring that we're being fair and equitable when we practice or conduct our billing processes. We took the feedback from that meeting, which was scenario D, and with the $20,000 cap, which was, as you read in the RFD, was put in there as a placeholder to be debated further when it came back to council. And we have put together the original, or I guess the draft cost recovery policy as per that direction. So this is the fruits of decisions made back on May 20th, and we look to council now to provide some feedback.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Discussion? Reeve Holland.
Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing this back. We also received a lot of feedback with regards to that day and that conversation that was happening. And when we're listening to that feedback, it was very loud and clear that non-human caused fires should not be capped at 20,000. They shouldn't be charged at all. And can we run through again the definition of non-human caused fires, please?
Absolutely, through the chair to Councillor Holland. So realistically, in the world of fire investigation, we look for cause and origin. So human caused would be something that's a direct result of human activity, whereas non-human caused would be not. So an electrical failure, something that is a mechanical failure, would not be human caused. Myself recreating on my property and my OHV causes a fire, that would be human caused. It's a direct result of my activities. Lightning strike would not be human caused. Escape campfire would be. So we avoided the use of the word negligence because that is not something we investigate as fire investigators. We look at cause and origin. When you start talking about negligence, now you're getting into legal investigations where it's more of a law enforcement matter. And that's, again, very difficult to prove. So we put the human caused as a provision to catch those that or catch fires that are as a result of human activity. Again, an unattended burn that gets away, that's as a result of human activity. So that's the approach we took with the development of this. Previously, the direction we had was speaking to negligence, which again, we can't really prove negligence without investing a heck of a lot of money and bringing in additional resources to do that investigation.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And in hearing that, again, if it's a situation where a fire has broken out due to non-human activities, it's very difficult to, for me, you know, and having that conversation and talking with a lot of people and thinking about all of these different things, that there be a charge at all. So I would be in favor of that cap of non-human cause be zero. So $0. And that's where I'm sitting with that one. and as I mentioned in your report, that we would further debate or council may wish to further debate the cap on non-human caused incidents. So I would like to hear what my council mates have to say with that as well. And where they're sitting with that. And it also mentions in the report that there may be a request of review of said cost by the CAO, whose decision would be final and binding. However, administration is proposing that appeals under $1,000 be decided by the CAO, and I also agree with that as well. So once again, I appreciate all the work and effort that goes into these, and they're really well done. And I'm basing what I had said earlier, of course, on hearing back from our residents and hearing back what they would like to see and what they think is fair. And that's, of course, who we work for. So that's where I'm at with the $0 on human caused fires.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Councillor Cromwell.
Thank you very much. Well, as the Reeve kind of took a lot of my thunder there, I was very much against that cap when we first began. And, you know, even the comments about, you know, trying to encourage people not to have insurance, that I think we're completely missing the point of our conversation. I completely agree that we should not be charging people for things that are not of their fault. If you're violating a fire ban and you have a giant campfire at your residence and you light your subdivision on fire, you know what, you're definitely held responsible if you're not operating safely. However, the human element, the part of that saying that we're just going to recover just because we can, I think is completely out of line, and I would not be able to support that. I definitely support it being rewritten, kind of like the Reeve was just talking about, and then I would be very happy to support that. But until we have something on paper, I can't see it moving forward while being fair to our ratepayers who've been paying taxes in our county, some of them for a lifetime. And we're going to use the worst day of their life to inflict the possibility of inflicting a very large bill. To me, does not feel like good governance, does not feel like the right thing to do, and I cannot support it.
Okay. Anybody else? Oh, Councillor Gerlach.
Revolve may have taken your thunder, but she also took my lightning. What happens in a case where a person is just going about their daily work with an implement and somehow it catches on fire and whatever? It's not negligence, it's just bad luck. It is human caused, but
So, I mean, if the implement results in a wildfire, again, that would be human caused activity. If the implement itself, the baler, catches fire because of a mechanical failure, that would be human caused. And I mean, all these we do, that's the difficult part for administration. Folks have vehicle insurance that we charge for a car that's insured, but not industrial equipment. Like there's different, so many different avenues for us to explore. It's really difficult. So I mean, as it's written right now, we'd have to look at the actual scenario, and again, as a result of human activity, well, difficult question to answer.
yeah. I imagine there's probably insurance that you could have an overall rider on your property for mechanical failure or something like that.
This is through the chair to Councillor Gerlach. I actually just went through my annual insurance review with my insurance broker, and for $80 a year, I pay my liability insurance. If any farming activity results in a fire, I'm covered up to well over $20,000. It's about $250,000, and that extends beyond farming operations to even if I have livestock that escapes and gets hit on the road. That's not wildlife. That's a civil matter between neighbors. Well, insurance covers that as well. So there's a lot of insurance policies out there, and one that I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. We see with the disaster recovery program is loss of fences due to fire. Fences can be insured. Our disaster recovery program does not provide any compensation for loss of fence due to fire. only what we do as a result of putting in dozer guards. And every ratepayer I speak to, that's involved in agriculture, I tell them check your policy for the fences piece of it, because that's one that haunts a lot of people when we have a major fire.
That's the one thing that I think we really need to get out there, that people understand it. Maybe there's a little time period before we adopt this policy, give people a chance to adapt to it, and recommend to them very strongly that they take care of the policies, because like you're saying, if it's $80, that's not too drastic a move for anybody to make to have that protection.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in here? Counselor Cromwell, you got your hand up again?
Thank you. And not to, to try and argue with the chief, but that's exactly what we're talking about. We've talked about removing that gray area, removing that it's tough, and making sure it's documented in a way that is very clear as requested by administration, so that they're not put into that position of, well, we can, but we can't, we might, but we might not. And we've been working very hard to get our documentation to a very clear black and white. And I personally would love to see that perhaps rewritten to take away some of that black and white, because Councillor Gerlach is absolutely correct. If he's out with his baler and he has a bearing that seizes, which causes a fire, well, that is human caused. Is that his fault if he's done proper maintenance on it and reacts and does the best to contain that fire with his disker or with whatever implements he has out there, using Councillor Gerlach as an example? Is that fair? Is that right? I think that we need to maybe fine tune this bylaw a little bit more for, what the definition of human caused versus mechanical failure, what mechanical failure will and will not be covered. I think leaving a gray area for administration to have to decide when Joe Farmer walks in the door and goes, hey, I bought this baler 3 weeks ago. I'm here to do my work, and the bearing seized that, we went through it. It was in good order. And now I'm out of machine and I'm out, X amount of crop, and now I'm out also up to, $20,000. I think we need to make it very black and white, very to a point before we move it forward. That is the responsible, proper thing to do, in my opinion.
Counselor Wallach.
I think that really overcomplicates the whole issue. If somebody's combine catches on fire, unfortunately, it's the farmer's responsibility. It's their equipment. They have to take precautions. They carry water, whatever they do, but it's no different than industrial. If their cat catches on fire and causes a wildfire, we can't just be whatever. People have to carry insurance. If they want to carry insurance, then they're covered. If they don't, it's their own risk. We're not responsible for that. We're responsible for taking care of our county and our fire services. So I think the way that it's written is well, and human error is human error, and it is what it is.
Okay. On Counselor Hall.
I'm wondering if Chief Shalapa can just clarify again how this works then with residential house fires. In what circumstances there's a bill and in what circumstances there isn't.
Through the chair to Councillor Hall. So again, going back to the definition of human cause, meaning an incident that results as a direct act or omission of a person, whether intentional or unintentional, having a failure. So whether it be the combine catching fire or the freezer faulting out and resulting, that would be non-human cause. That would be it's an indirect, not a direct result of human activity. So we would consider structural fires, unless investigation deems that it is arson, that we can prove that it was intentionally set. It'd be a human cause. Well, it's all human caused, or that would be human caused. The failure of the appliance would be non-human caused. So if we go with a $0 cap for human caused fires, we won't be billing for structure fires unless it is deemed arson.
Does that align with what happens in the majority of municipalities that you've looked at?
Through the chair to Councillor Hall, it's been a real mixed bag in terms of what other municipalities are doing. I can speak to one just south of us that doesn't bill for any fire response at all. They just have really, really steep fines for non-compliance with their fire bylaw. We go a little bit further south and a little bit further west. We speak to a municipality where they only bill if individuals have means. So now they're having to prove that the individual has means to pay the invoice. A lot of municipalities will bill to a cap, but it is really the will of the respective councils, and it's a very mixed bag. And some places it's discretionary to administration, which really puts us in an awkward position to be judge, jury, and executioner, which I'll be honest isn't really fair to us. So.
Councillor Wallace.
Sorry, just to clarify, you said like, so if the freezer fails and it starts on fire, that's a non-human caused incident?
Correct. So when we defined human caused, it's direct act or omission. So you have to directly do something that results in that fire. Building a house, well, it may have been 50 years ago. It's indirectly caused by human, but the failure in electrical wiring, manufacturing defect is not anyone's fault currently. Your direct act or omission, you using your freezer didn't contribute to the house burning down. It was a mechanical failure of that. So when we do our fire investigations, we're always looking for, was it human caused or non-human caused? And we consider direct act or omission. So either you failed to do something or you did something that immediately resulted in that fire.
So if we take the cap out, we don't charge for those, then we're not getting paid for house fires.
Correct.
Thank you.
Unless we revise the policy.
Councillor Anderson.
I think when we originally discussed this, I spoke in favor of the cap, and I'm still not sure what the cap should be, but I do think that it should be there and it should exist. And the reason being is we had talked a lot about what insurance coverage would cover, and we didn't want to exceed it by a lot, but we said those who didn't have insurance could always appeal as well. Like, there are multiple options. We're not just saying that there's no appeals and this is how it's going to be. There are multiple options to people, but a lot of the people that I've had the opportunity to discuss this with, when we get talking about it, is okay, the taxpayers have paid for the fire departments, they've paid for all the fire equipment and such, and they're going to pay the bill when that response happens. And it's to what point, if there's insurance coverage, should the general taxpayer pool be reimbursed up to a certain amount for that response? It's not saying that every single cost is going to be covered. I mean, I think sitting around this table, we all know that never would we be able to factor in the cost of a fire truck, the cost of all of the things that go into having that response available and bill for that. Like that, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if we ever increase them to do a full cost recovery there. But it's just, at what point should insurance have to kick in and reimburse the taxpayers for some of those costs incurred? And so I do think there should be a cap. I just don't know what it is yet. And I am in favor of the CAO having authority for appeals under $1,000 if they feel comfortable with it. I don't know how many are there, but.
Yes, and I think kind of feel the same way. I think when we brought it, when this first came to the committee of the whole and we were discussing it last time, I'd been reached out by a few ratepayers and with the $20,000 cap for non-human cause, they were, when it says non-human cause, I don't think there was enough they understood what, and even some of us in council didn't understand what non-human cause was. And yeah, looking at that, I think when we first start talking about it, it was around 7,500 to 10,000 for a cap. And then it got bumped to 20 and we said, okay, we'll bring it back and we'll discuss it again. And here we are. So I would be now with a little bit better understanding on non-human cause. I think we need a cap, but I'm not for 20, but That's my thoughts right now. Reeve Holland.
Thank you. Are we able to have two separate definitions that may cover natural non-human cause, so lightning, a wildfire jumps into your property, all of those things, versus mechanical failures like you'd mentioned the freezer. We'll use the freezer as an example of wiring issue. It's something I don't think a lot, like you mentioned, a lot of people don't think about non-human cause being that could be part of that definition. So it's almost wondering if it's more of a way to separate the two, when it comes to structures and, if you have wiring. Now, if you have, say you have an old home, 100-year-old home, and it's got ancient wiring in it, and that, where do we draw these lines? I mean, when it's not even up to code, and all of those things. So there's a lot to think about, right? And it's difficult, but go ahead, Councilor. Yeah, sorry.
Councilor Kurla.
Right.
The purpose of this policy is to try and recoup some of the costs involved in fire suppression. So if everybody was to carry, it sounds like the insurance is not, it's not, it's really quite reasonable. So if everybody purchased insurance, the more people that purchase insurance, the cheaper it should be if you get better coverage. And I think we missed the boat. We have one opportunity where we reach every ratepayer in the county, and that's when we send them a tax notice. And if we put information like this in there about having to carry insurance, and then you have the opportunity to buy your insurance and be protected, or you could be liable for a huge bill. And then let the insurance company fight over whether it's non-human or human, or that really shouldn't be our problem. If it's covered by insurance, it's covered by insurance. And if it's something, I mean, that's the one way that you can get to every person that is a resident or landowner in the county is with their tax notice, because everybody gets it.
Okay. I don't know if there's a certain amount that we can put in a tax notices or not, but Councilor.
Thank you very much. I have to point out that we are changing the definition between one implement and another. And again, we are not being consistent. What we're saying is human caused, we're saying is mechanical, not human caused, from one category to another. Take a step back and have a look. We're not being consistent in our own documentation, our own definitions right here. And I think we need to do more work on it before we move it forward. I'm sorry, but
Thank you.
I can't understand why
Oh.
we're looking at it, if you're talking about your home here, well, it's not your fault, but if you're talking about your piece of farm equipment that you need for your life, it is your fault. But if it's your freezer, it's not your fault. But if it's your lawnmower, it is your fault. We are not being uniform across the board, period. And yeah, I think $20,000 is far too much. I will say again, we as a county have not billed for a very long time. We've had a standard of doing things, and now we're worried about recuperating costs, but we're also trying to change the entire way we do our fire service now, pay our volunteers, which I'm not against. But now you're having the worst day of your life, but now these 20 people that have come here out of the goodness of their heart to serve their community for 20 years, well, now they need to get their paycheck, so we're going to bill you. And when Bob and Joe and Jeff go out to Tom's fire and they have to look at their neighbor and go, it's the policy, we got to bill you. Yeah, we're paid on call. Now we get paid for being here. So thank you for paying our wage to be out here for something we've done for you for 25 years out of the goodness of our heart before, because we care about our community. We care about what we do. We care. We've always been here, and now it's different.
I think,
I don't
I think
this
we're
is
off
in the
the,
right place yet.
I think we're off the track there with,
I disagree,
on-
but
paid on fire departments. I think I do like the idea from the Reeve regarding natural caused, fires. In that wording or however good wording it is. If a lightning strike hits, that's non-human caused. If you're pulling your baler down, or you're combining, because we've seen it, and we'll probably see it this fall. Combines light up. You tell me a farmer that doesn't have insurance on his combine, but combines light up, balers light up, grass mowers light up, and that's a human caused situation. And so natural, I'm in agreement with that. I don't think we're trying to recoup money because we have to start paying people now. I don't think that's the whole idea of this. It's just to get a good bylaw here. So Councillor Wallach.
Chief Salpa, what's your, I guess, what's the average insurance company coverage for fire services? Do you have a ballpark?
To the chair, Councillor Wallach. So it really depends on your policy. It varies widely. When we look at specifically structure fires, you know, most of our bills fall between 5 and 10 grand, and most policies that so I guess I'll take a step back too. We currently bill. We currently bill right now, and we don't have a cap. So we've run into situations where we have sent invoices that are more than, and typically when we've seen the more than, it's been more than $10,000. Most policies are capping at $10,000. So our hope is that if we do put a cap in, potentially it aligns more to what we've seen, which would be the $10,000 or less that we proposed initially back on May 20th.
Okay, Councillor Hall.
Thanks. Couple of things. If we were to move in the direction of basically not charging, do we have any idea what the implication would be on both the fire service budget and tax rates? Like, I think any decision we make we need to at least understand what the trickle down effect is, because there is only one taxpayer, and if we choose to move the burden from the individual to the group, then we need to know how it affects the group. I'm also not sure, and I think we would need to do some checking. I'm not sure that everybody is eligible, every policy is eligible for the wildfire protection coverage. In some conversations with my agent, we've had there's been some indications that depending on how the policy's set up, you may or may not be eligible. And I've seen some policies moving more to $1,000 limit versus 10, although I don't think 10 is unreasonable. And I just wanted to double check. I think Chief Chalapai just answered this. But is it correct that we actually have been billing for quite a long time already?
Through the chair to Councillor Hall, that's correct. All my predecessors billed. I, within the last 2 weeks, issued a $39,000 bill. This is a process that we've done going back for quite a while. There's been inconsistency in the administration of billing, and I think that's where we really hope to get to with this policy, is actually giving us some ground rules, getting consistency, because there are times where billing is being conducted or it hasn't been conducted. We're making the decision to reduce the bills based on the units that were required, not necessarily what was used. And these are all decisions made at the administration level where it should be in policy, stating that we will review the invoices and we will only bill for the trucks that were needed, not those that were taken. So we're really trying to establish a framework that we have consistency now and going forward. But yes, we've been billing back a very long time.
Okay, thank you. I agree with some of my colleagues here that I think having some kind of charge is not an unreasonable thing. we pay, our taxes generally pay for the provision of the department, but if there is a specific use, having some amount to charge back to that is seems very reasonable to me, especially when all policies will have some kind of coverage.
Counselor Anderson?
Thank you. I know we've talked a lot about examples of mechanical failures with farm equipment as being causes of fire. But as an example, if I hooked up my bumper pull trailer and drove down the highway and either the chains are dragging and spark or a brake sticks and sparks or something happens, we see it every summer. I'm sure that different places, you get fire along the ditch here and then half a mile down the road, and pretty soon there's 5 or 6 that they have to respond to before anybody catches it. Is that considered human cause? Is that something that we would be billing for if that person gets caught? Or is that a non-human cause? Like, just so we have an example that's not just farm equipment, something that any one of us could do very easily.
Through the chair to Councillor Anderson. So as the policy is written, I mean, if you chains dragging, that's a direct omission of an individual that failed to hook up their trailer correctly. It resulted in a fire. So it's the direct actions of someone that's their omission has resulted in the fire that would be considered human caused. If the bearing on the wheel of the trailer goes, that would be a mechanical failure and non-human caused. And this is where that fine line is between things where someone's act or failure to act results in it versus something a little bit more outside their control. I may have misspoke earlier about the agriculture side. A bearing going would be non-human cause, where striking a rock would be human caused.
Right on. Reeve Holland.
Thank you. And, and hearing that these different scenarios that can really put us into a pickle, for lack of better words, the natural non-human cause, I think, was the biggest concern. If lightning strikes, why should we, how is that our fault? But as you mentioned, again, I'll go back to the freezer. In someone's home, most people do have that insurance. They do have that kind of thing. Is it difficult to add a couple of definitions for natural, non-human caused and non-human caused? Is that too?
Through the
Broad.
chair to Councillor Holland, that's actually relatively simple.
Good.
And something administration would support.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I don't know where everybody else sits as far as a cap is concerned for unnatural, non-human caused. I don't know if that's the proper wording. I'd love to hear what everyone has to say on that particular item. As you mentioned, usually 10,000 it was 7,500 to 10,000, somewhere in there for, was it 5,000 to 10,000? I couldn't remember the numbers you had just kind of.
Through the chair to Councillor Holland, are actually doing the analysis of what apparatus is required based on our current billing rate, which is industry average. Most of our structure fire invoices fall between 5 and 10.
7,500 sounds like a plan, right? So I'll just throw it out there for everybody else to discuss, but yeah, I like the two definitions and it really clarifies a lot. And I would be, no, zero charge for anything non-human cause that's natural.
I'm 100% agreement with that, and I'm sure that we started at 75, but I may be wrong. back when this first came, but I do like to change the definitions, and that way everybody knows what they're talking about. A couple more hands up here. We got Councillor Hall.
Yeah, apologies for jumping in again. Just one more clarification around the human caused. Are you assigning then the bill to the land or to the human? So if there's somebody on your place with a quad that creates a fire, who's paying that bill? The landowner or the quad owner, which you will probably never catch?
Is that something that would be considered occupier's liability? Just curious.
Well, I'd like my question answered first. Thank you.
Through the chair to Councillor Hall. So we, in the policy itself, as well as our fire service bylaw, we speak to, it gives us the opportunity to bill to the landowner or the individual that was caused the incident. Again, if we have OHVers trespassing on someone's property, I think in that case, it'd be an administrative review where we would not bill the landowner because, again, it wasn't their own activity on their land, but that'd be part of the administrative review process we would carry out. should we do catch the OHV people, and we've had some folks that have caused a wildland event and they came back to fess up to it, then we'd be pursuing the recovery from the individuals.
Thank you.
Oh, once more, Councillor Cromwell.
Well, I would like to thank the chief for, kind of refixing or re-explaining that definition. And I'm much more content knowing that what is mechanical for one is considered mechanical for another. And I think that makes it a lot more fair. I would agree. I would love to see some examples put out there with, this to that. And I think 7,500 would be a lot more fair for what is actually human caused as opposed to mechanical and out of one's control. Very simple little changes and fixes can actually make a big difference. And I'm far more inclined to support it with these changes being put forward.
Okay, so I think we have a consensus there to look at 7,500 for non-human caused. And a definition of non-human and natural, right? Natural, non-human. We good with that? Everybody?
So it would be definitions for human caused, non-human caused, and natural non-human caused. So the non-human caused, being unnatural non-human caused. I guess it's just to make sure we have those three specified.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I got the nod. So from administration. So I think what we can do, so how we want to do this, direct administration to forward fire response cost recovery policy to county council is presented, not that. To bring back the fire response recovery policy to the next county council meeting with the amended revisions. Would that work?
And I'd be happy to make that.
That would work, as discussed. Okay, so to bring back for administration to bring back the fire response recovery policy to county council, next county council meeting. With the discussed revisions. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So that's 6 and 2. Oh, 3 were opposed? Oh. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, so that would be 5 and 3, right? Yeah, 5 and 3. So it's moving forward. Okay. Policy 6.4, policy 6275, donations, page 97 of your agenda. You're getting there. So on this one is we will get a discussion regarding the donations policies with administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Previously in May, you asked that administration bring back recommendations with respect to your policy, which is called donations currently. And under that policy, the CAO is authorized to issue basically promotional items up to $100 and then is required to report back to council each and every time. So we have looked at the policy in comparison to what other municipalities have. And of course, there's a whole gamut of options. So this is just a starting point. pardon me, our recommendation is to go with a county promotional items policy. And then currently, and again, just for discussion, it's broken out into two kind of types of uses. One would be requests for the public where the CAO could authorize up to $500. There are some guidelines that are set out on what that kind of would look like, and then do a informal reporting to council on a quarterly basis, just via email. And that keeps council informed as to, you know, where are the promotional items going and what are the activities that are happening in the community, although you probably already know that anyways. And then the second set of promotional items would be for public and intergovernmental affairs. And so this is where we're proposing for consideration is maybe each council member would like a small budget of promotional items that you could use at your discretion, and it would be subject to budget approval. As well, the CAO and senior leadership team would have, of course, a budget for when they go to conferences or are meeting with delegates for whatever reason, and that they could use that promotional items, and then there would be no reporting required. And then just the last thing I want to mention is the guidelines. And I think the principles of the policy kind of really speak to what we're trying to achieve, is that first and foremost, promotional items are meant to be given away. They definitely raise the profile of the municipality, but they are also subject to budget approvals. But also that promotional items should not be administratively onerous, and that they are independent from any other grants or support that the municipality would be giving to community groups. And just from a comparison, I looked at other policies from other municipalities. They are quite different in terms of what other municipalities that do have a budget for elected officials. One, for example, has $375 for council members, and then $500 for the reeve or mayor. I couldn't recall which one that was. Another one has $750, and then $1,500 for the reeve. And then another one has, you know, they have it in their policy that council would have a budget, but it is determined at budget time. So it varies, as I said. In terms of the CAO authority, some are, you know, $200, others are $500, and others really have no limit. And many of them don't require any reporting from the administration when promotional items are distributed. But it was left in here because that's something that council is currently doing. But again, you could change that if you like. I'm happy to answer any questions and of course take direction on the framework.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Councillor Hall.
If we want to move away from operations and increase focus on governance, I think this is a really good start. The current policy is, in my view, a complete waste of CAO time, and we need to free up space so that our leader has time to focus on the things that are highest priority. So I'd be happy to move the recommended motion when the time comes, or now.
Okay. Anybody else got any discussion on this? Reeve Holland.
Thank you so much. I really like your policy that you've brought forward here today, and I appreciate the effort and the thoughts that are going into it. And I agree, it is the current policy is yeah, not really it's not really great. So with that though, the only thing that I did notice is that the reporting to council is via email. The only thing that I think about there is that the public doesn't get to see that we're in support. So that would be my only change, is instead of email, maybe going into the information portion of our agenda so that the public have an opportunity to see that we're as supportive as well. And then I just noticed the email that I think that was about it. Other than that, well done. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm just going to chime in here quick too. I also agree with that. To put it into quarterly into the agenda, whether it's a council agenda or a committee of the whole, the same sort of reporting as you would have done in an email. Doesn't have to have a huge amount of bells and whistles. We donated, the CAO donated 50 pens to or whatever to this organization. It doesn't need a letter and everything stating what it's all for. But the only other thing that I'm not really up on is another agenda or budget item for elected officials and the reeve and that. I think if if the Reeve or an elected official wants to take, grab some pins and stuff like that, I think I don't see anything wrong with asking, you know, you got 50 pins that I can maybe grab it and give out at this organization. Is when you put it in a budget, you got to actually track it. And that's just another thing we have to track. And there's, you know, I'm going to say it here. We're not 100% on tracking, especially on the counselors' ends and stuff like that. So I would stay away from that. I like the idea of bumping it to like $500 for the CAO. I got no problem with that, but to give a budget item for council, no, I'm not for that. That's my point of view. Councillor Cromwell.
On one of those fantastic days where I agree with Councillor Hall, I think it's a great policy. I like it. I like the idea of elected officials being able to have you know, stuff for those events. And I think I agree also with Reeve Holland. It's very simple to put that as a note in, you know, your monthly or quarterly report in COW to make it transparent. And I don't think it's asking too much of anyone at our room to go, hey, if you give out 20 pens, you know, put it as a footnote in your report. If we can't handle a little bit of check and balance on a minor item like that, then I think we have bigger issue. So I fully support what Councillor Hall had put up there in the amendment by Reeve Holland.
Councillor Jamzik.
I'm 100% in support for the increase for the CAO. But I kind of tend to agree with you, Mr. Mins, when it comes down to having our budget. Some of our areas really don't have a lot of influx with community events, those types of things. You know, $500 might be completely acceptable for the whole term. Some people that could be done in the first year, first quarter, whatever, with promotional items, depending on the events of that area. And of course, they could always ask the CAO as well. I personally am not too much of in favor of having to, it's not so much the tracking, it's public tax dollars, it's easy. And then this way it's all on one report and there's never any confusion. That's the way I see it.
Okay, Councillor Anderson.
I personally am in favor of the CAOs, like this limit for the CAO, but also that each elected official can hand out different items when they're going places, like hear about, you know, going to Buffalo Lake or going to different colleges. And if you had, you know, a couple pens in your pocket that you hand out to somebody when you're meeting them, I think it just makes a good impression. And I do worry about the actual tracking of it though. I just think it would become so onerously and kind of be a micromanaging more so than anything. And so I'm not really in favor of a strict limit for that purpose, because I just think it would, then you're putting some member of administration in a position that they have to tell you, you know, Councillor Mins, maybe you're over your $500 limit, you can't have 2 more pens. Like, I don't want them to have to do that. I don't want to put them in that position. So for that reason, I'm not really in favor of the cap on that. I don't think that we should be putting administration in that position. If we say, okay, it's okay for counselors to be handing out promotional items, then it should be okay for counselors to be handing out promotional items. And you shouldn't be putting administration in a position where they have to track it or micromanage you to say, no, you can't have those 2 more pens. I just don't think that's reasonable.
Perfect. Reeve Holland.
Thanks. And while I understand exactly what everyone is saying with regards to having to have a budget, we also run into the situation where does it end? You know, and if we don't have it puts administration also into a situation where one counselor might only ask for $50 one year and is asking for 1,500. So, you know, that's where I don't think it's fair as well that administration is, you know, it's taxpayers' dollars. We are accountable for them. Whether we track them is extremely important to me, but we are accountable for those tax dollars. If there's a budget that's there, we're aware of it. We know what it is. We know what that package of promotional items would look like, and you do so accordingly. If you, you know, just because we may not have, some areas might not have massive events, we still attend them. We still go out to them, and we're still doing that work and being there. So for me, if you do need in excess of a budget, it's a quick, hey, is this okay? And so for me, it's accountability. And I personally like the fact that there would be a budget.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in on this policy? No? Huh? Okay, so where do we stand here? Is there somebody willing to make a recommendation? Actually, yeah, actually, Councillor Hall made the recommendation. Are you still standing by your recommendation, Councillor Hall?
The motion is on the floor.
Okay, the recommendation that the receive policy 6275 to be forwarded to council as presented. Read all.
I'll put an amendment in there, just to change, and maybe it might be a friendly amendment, but just to change from the email to a quarterly, agenda item. Just for,
I have no objections to that, if the rest of the council is fine with it.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so that's a friendly amendment to change the wording of the reporting to council, not via email, but by quarterly agenda item. And that, do you want to do it at the committee of the whole or committee of the whole? It could even be done through the CAO's report, something like that, I guess. So everybody understand the motion with the friendly amendment, or?
That revised policy. That revised policy 6275 be forwarded to council as amended, as discussed, or as discussed, as amended.
Yep, you betcha. I think that'll work, right? That'll work. Okay. On that motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Councillor Cromwell, I never heard an I or an A or.
Aye.
Okay, so that's 7-1. So that motion was moved. So that completes 6.0. Do we need to have a 10-minute break before we go to the next agenda item? What's that? Yeah, okay, let's take about a 10-minute break. We'll come back at about 2 minutes to 2. 1:58. So I guess we'll get the meeting back up and running here. So we'll move on to new business. 7 in the agenda, 7.1 draft fire services recognition policy, page 102, the agenda. And on that, Mr. Travis Shalapai again.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is, again, another, a little more exciting policy for us coming from the fire service side of the house. As we've been moving through, working on the fire service review, working on the membership policy, paper call, and all the other things that we've been working on, one piece, and this is kind of the final piece that was missed, was a formal recognition policy for our membership. This is something that's pretty standard with most municipalities. It generally follows their own municipal recognition policy. So what we've done here is we've put together our own fire services recognition policy that aligns with our neighbors and our own policy 4400 recognition to provide for long-term service recognition for our members. It also has one other element to it, and that's section 4, which is the a team building fund. So two pieces of that. Number one, we currently have a grants to fire departments, which is not really a grant, but it's just an annual $500 payment we make annually, which really doesn't provide any definition of what it's for. As well, we with the paper call rollout happening, we've stopped paying fire clubs. So the $2,500 team building fund allows respective fire districts to still have the team building exercises, the annual barbecues, where they can have camaraderie and do that team aspect as well. So really, we've captured two things in the recognition policy. One is long-term service, as well as ensuring that we still have the provision there for team building. And unfortunately, like my first presentation, there is a numbering error in this policy. We repeated 3.2 and we missed 3.5, so we're going to have to shuffle a couple numbers down again here as well. But that's our recognition policy in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion? Councillor Chamzik.
I would like to move over the recommended.
Microphone, please.
I would like the recommended recommended to council with the amended changes, please. Great job. I really like the team building aspect. That's really important for morale and all those great things. Really well written.
Perfect. Anybody else want to discussion?
Sure. I echo the sentiments. This is excellent. Recognition is so incredibly important. And I really appreciate you bringing forward this to us so that that can go forward in such a great way. And I'll still put a plug out there for, we need to do a pancake breakfast.
Councillor Cromwell.
Thank you. I love it. I was going to move the recommended there myself. Well done. About time we're really getting on this, and thank you, Chief, for getting it done.
Okay. Well, any other discussion that needs to be put forward? Seeing none. Councillor Chamzik has moved that council forward the fire services recognition policy to a regular county council meeting for approval. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. 8 no. Perfect. Thank you very much. 7.2. Page 108 of your agenda, golf cart bylaw request. So this was put in by administration, so Mr. Beck.
Mr. Chairman, we've attached the request, was submitted by a resident. To get into this pilot project, it's an awful lot of work, and some places are in the business of it right now, and some are having a bit of a hard time with it. It's not loved by every municipality that's being attempted in. So we're suggesting that council receive the request and refer to the next council to see where it sits on their priority list. And if it's deemed a high priority by the next council, then we would move forward with it.
Okay, I totally agree with that. There is already there's some pilot programs in Alberta right now. One actually in our county region with Whispering Hills, Summer Village of Whispering Hills. I know they got one going on. I think it says in there Barhead and stuff like that. And I don't myself, I know with Whispering Hills, they were only charging $5 to register your golf cart, and they would have to take all the information and mark it down, and then the government wants all the information. So it's taken time and energy to do this, and they're actually getting pushed back in there because some people still don't want to register their golf carts and stuff like that. So I feel the same way. We have pilot projects going on out there right now. Why do we want to create one for ourselves to bring on more work until we see how these other municipalities actually administer and maintain these projects? So that's my point of view. So I agree with the administration on that. Anybody else want to discuss? Councillor Anderson?
I agree completely. At first glance, it sounded like a great idea to do a pilot project, and then reading about the incredible administrative undertaking that it would be, really put a halt to that thought really quickly. And maybe one day it'll be something that, you know, in targeted areas of the county, a future council wants to roll out, but I just don't think that it's something that we could undertake at this point. Like, I don't think we have the capacity.
Perfect.
Mr. Chairman, just one other thing. We get a couple of complaints a year from one or two subdivisions of that, but it's really pretty rare. So we know it occurs within some of the country residential areas. By and large, it's not a problem. So sometimes we try to fix things that aren't really a problem. It's really not much of a problem. And we do still respond to the odd complaint where there's some rowdiness. But by and large, it's not a problem.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. Councillor Gerlach.
If others are doing a pilot project, why don't we just wait and see what the results of their pilot project is, as opposed to getting involved in it? And I guess the problem that happened at Mystic Meadows is they have one golf cart, and the one golf cart was driving down the road and the CPO threatened to give him a ticket for it. So that's why they pressed me. So.
You're not supposed to do it. Anybody else want to discuss?
Make a motion to accept for information.
Councillor Wallach. It's Councillor Wallach has just made a motion to accept for information, and any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Oh.
Can we change the word accept to receive, just because accept means to adopt?
Okay, so receive for information, is that okay? Okay, receive for information. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. 8-0. Next one, RMA district update. I think everybody had a chance and had a chance to look at this and read it, and RMA is doing some great things. They're very busy. Looks good. I think we can just accept that.
Move to accept for information.
Move to, yeah, do we need to really? We can just, it's information and
Move to go to close.
Councillor Wallach has made a motion to go into closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. We are in closed. Thank you.